I had some mushrooms I had to use up. I wanted pasta, so I came up with this recipe, a mushroom sauce with fettuccine noodles. Really simple, but oh so good. And I got to use up the stuff in the fridge. Let's get everything out and get cooking. First up, we need some pasta. I went with fettuccine, just 'cause. Mushrooms, look at the big thing of mushrooms I had to use up, and that's why we're making this. Need a little bit of cream. That is sun-dried tomatoes packed in oil. We'll have to get rid of that. A bunch of shallots, that's 6. And if you need to use onions, use just regular onions. I'm sure it'll be fine. Some salt and pepper, teaspoon of flour, just to help thicken the sauce up, stick of butter, and some parsley we're going to chop up. So let's just go put our pot of water on to boil, a little bit of salt. Back over to our cutting board. Now we got to tackle these mushrooms. I think I'm going to use all of them, or a good chunk of them, so that's what we're going to use. Get them washed, and now we just got to chop them up into slices. We've got big, we've got little, we've got in between. But that's okay. That's just going to make it a little more interesting. So we carefully slice them up, ever so carefully. And that's our, now we still got to keep going because we got that whole bowl to do. And when we're finally done, we've got a whole bunch. There's our bowl full, plus what's on the cutting board. That's okay, because it's going to shrink when we cook it. Let's do the shallots next. I got 6 shallots, and we got a first timer here because I've never used shallots before, which is kind of strange that I've never at least tried them. So it's a little more work peeling them all, but we managed. We cut them into halves, and let me clean up some of this onion paper. And we're good. We chop them up into small pieces, as per usual. And like I said, if you just have regular onions, use regular onions. Got a strainer, and this is our jar of sun-dried tomatoes. We're going to let the oil drain out of them because, yeah, we don't need all that oil in our cooking. Over to a frying pan. That's about a couple, 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter. Try to put a little extra in there just because. And we're going to put just a little bit of oil in. Why? Well, because if you do that, it doesn't turn all brown on you, which is kind of cool. So our water's boiling. In goes our pasta. I made quite a bit because I had a lot of hungry people that wanted some. It's more like just over a half package. So we're just going to mush it down with our pasta taker outer and get it into the water. And I like to break it up too, especially when it's the thicker noodles, because if you don't, you just leave it in the water. Sometimes if you don't watch it, it ends up being a clump. Back to our frying pan. Our butter's all nice and melted down. We're going to do the shallots first. Swoosh them around in the butter. Gotta love it. And we'll let this cook for a minute or so till it starts getting soft, and then in goes all our mushrooms. Hey, we managed to get them all to fit, just barely. These are going to get a lot smaller once we get all the moisture out of them. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. A little bit of flour, and you can see just how much they shrink when you cook them. It's pretty wild. It's kind of like when you're doing spinach. So we mix all that flour around. This is going to thicken up the sauce. Looks good. Now we're going to put our cream in. A little bit at a time. A little bit in, mix it around. This is starting to come together really nice. A little bit more cream, a little bit more mixing around, a little bit more cream. And just in case you're keeping track, that's 2/3 of a cup of cream we're using. A little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. You want to keep mixing it because, of course, temperature's still on half. We also threw in just a little touch of nutmeg. Oh, in goes our sun-dried tomatoes. And we're going to mix that all together. Sauce is starting to come together quite nicely, I think. At least from where I'm standing, it sure smells good. Let me mix it all around. Everything's looking pretty good. And we'll let that percolate for a little while, simmer on for a few minutes while we go tackle our parsley. There's a lot of stems in it, so let's try and pull off the stems. There's no way we're going to need it, and that's more than enough parsley. 2 tablespoons of parsley, yeah, that's probably like 4 or 5. That's okay. So you can see how thick our sauce is getting. I'm trying to kind of scrape the bottom just to make sure it doesn't stick. And I think I want it a little looser, so I put in some milk. And I think that helped quite a bit. So our pasta's done. I've drained it. Let's get it onto a plate because I am hungry. And then we need some of the sauce. All right, we've got a spoon. Let's put this on top. I like it. I like it. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? Just need a fork now. And I'm in for some good eating. Oh yeah, I forgot about the parsley. Let's throw the parsley on top for good looks. And there you have it. Mushroom sauce with fettuccine. It's a nice pasta dish for dinner. Hey, another great recipe. I hope you'll give it a try. Leave me a comment below, one way or the other. Listen, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell because that'll tell you the next time I upload a video. Feel free to share this and any of my other videos. And thanks for stopping by and watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.